Hello everybody and welcome to my round 5 match. At this point we are 3-1, looking to advance to 4-1. We're taking on Duck Lordcru this round, member of the GU Council of Mortals, for those of you aware of that situation. Right here, we are playing Stormfield OTK. They are playing Light. I was expecting Control Light, but we see them taking the Acolyte God Power, which might suggest Aggro Light. Control Light is considered a great matchup for us, as our deck is designed to kill our opponent in one turn, while Aggro Light is not a good matchup, because normally they kill us before our combo goes off. We see Lordcru here open up with a minion on turn 1, though it's interesting. I think he expects that I'm playing combo and pips out an order minion on turn 1 for board presence and to get his initial attack going. They don't really have a turn 2 here, so we just want to set up the combo pieces. We play the Cram. The idea is to draw more cards, and then we figure out what we need to foresee. When you're playing Stormfield OTK, you're more or less setting up a puzzle, and you just need to get all of your puzzle pieces together to be successful. So here we go ahead and foresee. Now we have to make a decision here on the ancient text. Since I have a Stormfield in hand, I decide to go ahead and play the ancient text so I can magic inks the Stormfield, because the Stormfield, the magic inks would copy the ancient text if I did not play that. So I wanted the 2 Stormfields. So we've got the 2 Stormfields and we have the Form of Unity. What we need now in the puzzle is mostly cost reduction and one more spell. So we get the cost reduction. The Helpful Etherfox was a great draw. Unfortunately, those 2 cards are not very useful, so we're going to put both of those at the bottom, but the Ether Fox reduces the Form of Unity down to 0. That is a part of the combo, so we're trying to set everything up right here. And we've got plenty of minions. We do not want to draw any more minions, and what we really need is we need one more spell for face damage, and we need cost reduction. We need to get those Stormfields down in cost. Lordcru is coming out here with plenty of speed. They buy the Fellow Tracker in the Sanctum. So we really need to end this in 2 turns. We draw Ancient Text. That is a potential combo piece. And here is just a difficult decision. So what we really needed that turn was a way to reduce one of the Stormfields. And unfortunately, we drew Ancient Text. Now we see Helpful Etherfox. I make a play mistake here. I keep the Helpful Etherfox, and the reason why it's a play mistake is I should be able to calculate my opponent has basically 2-turn lethal with the Fellow Tracker they just bought from the Sanctum. So the Helpful Etherfox I can calculate does not give me lethal because I am I'm just a tad bit short here. We can't play both Stormfields and get a 6-wide board. So it just doesn't work. So I should have gone ahead and gotten rid of that. As it is, our opponent just has a little bit too much speed here, and in short, there is no lethal here. If one of those Stormfields were already cost reductioned, we could go 6 wide. For instance, play the 3 chickens, double Stormfield, or play the 3 minions, double Stormfield, Form of Unity plus Ancient Text. That indeed would be lethal if we could get the double Stormfield on the wide board. Right now we can play 2 minions, we can play 2 Stormfields, so that would give us 10 spell boost, and wait, and then we're 1 mana short on lethal on that line. So that would have been the closest line to lethal there. But we're 1 mana short in multiple different ways. So we do this line, but it doesn't get us there. It does not get us there. So we're going to go ahead and take the L in game number 1. If I had played 2 minions, we would have 3 mana left over the double Stormfield, and then the Form of Unity, but we can't get the Ancient Text in. So we're just off a little bit. But if we got the 6 wide board and we're able to get the board wipe, then if we got the 6 wide board with the 12 spell boost, it is indeed lethal. But the mathematics just a little bit off. We're just one turn off there, and Lordcru gets us in game number 1. So now we're down 1-0, needing a win. We're coming out with Relic Slayer War, and Lordcru's coming out with Deception, which can either be a control deception variant, or it can be an aggro deception variant. Jeez, I just noticed my camera is not really sized correctly. There we go. Fixing the camera there. But here we can... we've got the Unrestrained. We like that. We do have to be wary of counterfeits if they're playing control deception. And since they passed on 1, I can automatically assume they're probably control deception. Because if you're aggro deception, you should almost always have something to do on 1. Though Armor Lurker itself doesn't actually signal which deck he is playing. It could just be potentially a really bad turn 1. However, when they don't open with 1 and you're facing Deception, assume control deception. He attacks face and hides the minion. I've talked about this many of times. That's usually not the correct thing to do, like, ever. So, here we pretty much have to play a Magic Missile Launchers. We have kind of an awkward hand. I can go for the Jugular next turn with the first Unrestrained Power. It's slightly risky, though, because if he's got Counterfeit... You hate kind of the 2-turn strategies, and then he just flat out plays Counterfeit. So that makes the decision easier to not play Unrestrained Power next turn. But before then, we had to decide, did we want to go for the 2-turn lethal? Because the traditional 2-turn lethal there is if you, on 4, pip Unrestrained, and then 5 Unrestrained, that, in almost all lines, is indeed lethal. So we go ahead and we play I Need a Weapon. I was hoping to get Blade of Sticks. I was 50-50 there to get Blade of Sticks. So I could pip that out, play it, and then Unrestrained next turn. But we did not get it. The other option that turn was playing Magic Missile Launchers and not attacking. But that felt not super amazing. So we just have the Scythe of the Harvest. And... We'll go face with this. Now, the thing is we know that they're playing control deception now. The thing that we're worried about here is potentially front lines. I don't think most lists run 2 counterfeits. There's a chance he has a second counterfeit, but it's unlikely. So, but you always do have to be wary of, potentially a second counterfeit. You can get kind of wrecked if you're not careful. They play Guild Enforcer here, and I have a decision to make, and I make it instantly. I decide to go for the Unrestrained here. The idea is if he can't deal with the Relic and doesn't have another front line, then my second Unrestrained actually is threatening lethal. Even though he's at 25, we are threatening lethal right now, but he's got the Cutthroat Insight, so he can take away the Unrestrained Power, which was threatening the lethal. Not only that, his Patient Pickpocket's going to copy a card from my hand, so he could get a Relic, play the Relic, and then Unrestrained Power that Relic. So that is what he is going for. We just go ahead, go face, activate the God Power, and hope. You could have argued playing Magic Missile Launchers there since it doesn't have God Blitz. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to push as much damage as possible. They play the Inconspicuous Carriage, which doesn't really get them very far at the moment. Right now, I'm trying to calculate whether or not I have lethal this turn. And at the moment, I do not think so because of the Ruin of Life puts him at 12. But we do top deck the Orcish Elite. The Orcish Elite comes down. It can take care of the carriage itself. We'll go ahead and utilize our pip to Slayer. Mostly, we do get the 2 extra points of damage to face, which threatens lethal for next turn. Also, we do not shuffle any bombs in our list. which could matter as well. I mean, we don't know what our opponent is holding. Stuff like he could easily have a Scythe of the Harvest or a Magic Missile Launcher from the Patient Pickpocket. He could also have a Demogorgon, which isn't very useful right now because the relic I have in play plus the God Power threatens lethal. So he has to come up with some way to stop the impending lethal threat that we have. He does not find a way to stop the lethal threat, and we will have game number 3. Now we are in game number 3, must-win scenario to keep our top 8 dreams alive here. We are playing Control Magic this game. If you remember from game number 1, we played Stormfield OTK, different Magic variant. So by queuing Magic again, immediately in the God Power selection phase, Lordcru is probably going to be assuming that I am indeed playing with Stormfield OTK. Of course, we picked Mage Bolt, which kind of gives it away anyways. So we were being deceptive for like a whole 2 seconds there. But we are playing Control Magic here. We keep the Iron Tooth in hand. I'm expecting Lordcru to be playing a Necroceptor because he's going with the Soulburn God Power, which suggests he's playing zombies. And he comes out with the Void Banshee, and unfortunately our opening mulligan was not very good. As you can see, we have no Tracking Bolt, no Blizzard Bolt for that, which both are in the list. And unable to conveniently remove that is very unsatisfactory. They go ahead and play the Cursed Obelisk here, and I think I make a slight play error here. Instead of GPing the Obelisk, I probably should play the Final Draft to draw 2 cards. But yeah, that's just a thing. When we GP the Obelisk, we're obviously setting up the Shape Blast for next turn, but we're still taking some damage this turn. There was really no way to prevent that. We got to make sure when we play Shape Blast, the Obelisk dies. Otherwise, it keeps producing value. So here we have no option but to play Shape Blast. It is what it is at this point. They will have the Decaying Rhino live. Our Final Draft is going to cap out at 3, which is normally a pretty good number, but the issue that we're going to have right now is a little bit too much in terms of cards in hand. So they go ahead, they go face, they put me down to 15, and we're under a lot of pressure here. So right now, about all I can do is play the Final Draft, which draws 3, and unfortunately, the Decaying Rhino is the other Decaying Rhino should live. We draw Tracking Bolt and another Tracking Bolt, but we don't have enough mana. Our options this turn are to play Safeguard, which will prevent 5 points of damage. However, if we play Safeguard, we are guaranteed to overdraw next turn. Or I can play Tracking Bolt and buy the Rune of Fire. I still overdraw, but I prevent them from getting Rune of Fire in the Sanctum. So that's why I did that. You could argue that Safeguard might have been a more accurate play that turn. But then they get the Rune of Fire in the Sanctum in most lines. Actually, no, wait a minute. We would be able to Tracking by the Rune of Fire next turn and probably just play Iron Tooth to get it out of our hand. So maybe that was an inaccurate line. Could have gotten the Safeguard down to potentially save 5 health, which that could matter. For us, we're just looking for a way to survive to play Demogorgon. If we can play Demogorgon, then get to 7 mana, then we feel like we've got a good chance in this game. Granted, you never really ever feel out of the woods when they can go wide with zombies and then hit you with a really large corpse explosion. With their God Power, it's very easy to generate Frenzy. But for me, I think that we're favored if we can get the Demogorgon out there. But he is continuing to go wide, and he goes extremely wide here. So we are at 9 facing this board, needing something. Unfortunately, we are overdrawing right now. And yeah, this is a difficult spot. So we elect to go ahead and Rune of Fire there. And here we're just going to go ahead and remove this minion as well. We leave the 1/1s on the board, I'm just hoping he just floods the board with, another like 1/1 or some more 1/1s, and then we can get a big Stormstress next turn. That's probably a very optimistic hope at this point. But at this point, I don't have much else to play for. Right now, we just got to figure out a way to get to the 7 mana point and drop Demogorgon. And at the moment, it doesn't feel like we're necessarily getting there. They play Fickle Cambion, and that's a big minion. It's a 4/4. They're going to get 2 more 1/1s. So I'm going to be forced to play Stormstress here, which kills all the zombies. The issue here is if he can get by the Stormstress with 5 mana, then the Fickle Cambion is going to represent lethal. So here I have the option of potentially buying from the Sanctum. I'd take it. The reason being is his God Power can pump his Fickle Cambion +1/+1. So I wanted to get 1 extra point of damage in. I also thought that I didn't have time to wait, and that 1 mana was going to be important. Because next turn, it's all about survival. If we can survive next turn, we can get to the big number, 7, for the Demogorgon and potentially turn around and swing this game in our favor. But here, there's just so many potential lethal outs for our opponent that it's very scary. He's got the Undead Chimera, which is annoying, and then he gets to pump his Fickle Cambion again. Again, the line that I took last turn kept in mind, and he makes a huge play mistake there. Huge play mistake. He targets the Stormstress, but doesn't target this. This was already big enough to kill Stormstress by itself, so he's allowing me to trade with the Athenian Archer for free to get rid of the 6/1 Fickle Cambion. The question is can I take advantage of that? We draw Metamorphosis off of Safeguard, which is insane. Unfortunately here, all I can really do is GP and then Metamorphosis and Pray. So we're going to Metamorphose and we're going to Pray. And one of the options is Satyr Hypnotist. So here I have an out to survive. If Satyr Hypnotist puts to sleep the Undead Chimera, we live. But it puts to sleep the 1/1 zombie. And unfortunately, my opponent has lethal. I had no way to play that to potentially save lethal. I took the correct line. I was aiming for a front line, obviously, when I did that, but Satyr Hypnotist may have been better because they would have been likely to kill the front line. We lose this round, fall to 3-2. We can no longer get top 8. We'll play out the rest of the tournament anyways. If we win out, we're guaranteed top 32, worst case. But definitely a disappointing tournament for me. And yeah, I'll see you next time.